Hi, it's Tech Thursday. I'm Nicole. Cassie's gone today, so a little bit sad about that. I'm sure you guys all are too. But what I thought I would do is do maybe a slightly shorter episode because let's face it, it's not as interesting if there isn't a couple of people, and talk a little bit about changing your domain name. So let's say that you have an existing website and something has happened. Somebody let the domain run out, or you forgot to renew it or something like that. And now you're maybe stuck in the situation to maybe have to move to your website to a different domain. So we've had a couple of people talk to us about this recently, and that's why I thought this would be an interesting topic. So the first thing to do, of course, or the easiest thing to do possibly, is if this hasn't happened to you yet, is to prevent it from happening. So if you go to whois.net, whois.net, and you type in your domain name. Now, if your domain wasn't registered privately, you should be able to see what day you registered it, when it's up for renewal, and where what's called the domain registrar, which is where you purchased your domain. So common registrars might be GoDaddy, Enom, Network Solutions. So what you can do is if you know where you purchased it and you know what your domain is, you can typically, and your name is on the account, if you don't have your password, you can get it reset or something like that. And then you just got to make sure that you're going to renew the domain name before it's due with that registrar. So just FYI, like that's something pretty straightforward to do. It's not really technical so much as just remembering what day it's due, just like any of your bills, I guess, and making sure to pay it. So first of all, prevent it if you can. Okay, so now that I've given you that caveat, let's say that you're in a position where, you know, you had breakingeven.com and you let it expire. And now you have to decide what you're going to do with your website. So the first thing to do is to check what the damage would be if you moved it. So the major issue being what websites or what online places are linking back to your website. So Google used to be really good to check backlinks. Like you can open up google.com and type in link : the URL of your website, and it will pull up everything that's linked to it. There's other tools though out there that I feel like are a little bit more straightforward, like, you know, basically tools that will check your backlinks for you, and they will list everything that is linking back to your website. What you'll notice is it's some things like your Facebook page is linking back to your website, or stuff you have control over. That's easy to change. But what you want to see is other people linking to your stuff. So, you know, it might be other, you know, blogs that are linking to your blog. It might be directory listings that somebody put in at some point. And think about mentally writing to all these people and telling them to change your website link, and think about how well that would go over. And I'll tell you a little story about why I'm saying this. So what happened when I started Breaking Even was breakingeven.com wasn't available. Actually, somebody wanted $13,000 for it or something ridiculous. And I was like, you know what, I don't want it that bad. And I started looking at what other people do, you know, in terms of if they don't have their .com. And I saw a lot of people were doing, at that time, breakingeven.inc.com. And I thought, well, I'm going to incorporate anyway, so I might as well, I can just do that. It only adds 3 more characters to the domain. And I still get to use the .com, a relatively short .com. So yeah, let's do that. So of course, in terms of things to do on your list, legal paperwork tends to go lower down on mine, which is probably why I'm not a lawyer. There's probably a few other reasons why I'm not a lawyer either. But so I'm talking to my lawyer, and he's saying, so you have incorporated in your domain name. I was like, yeah, I was going to incorporate. He's like, yeah, you might want to do that now or change your domain because you're sort of leading people on. And I was like, oh, right. You know, that makes sense. And so what I did was I checked the backlinks, and I thought, okay, well, you know, should I move my website to NicoleWillette.com or I don't know, something like that. And I checked, and there was 1,500 websites linking back to a page on my website. And the idea of going back and telling all those people to change their link made me moderately nauseous, and I didn't necessarily want to leave. I mean, I'd worked so hard to get those links. I didn't want to just give them up. So, you know, I was like, I just paid my lawyer to do the incorporation paperwork, and ta-da, I've been incorporated for like, you know, 4 years now or something. So it's something to think about, and it's nice to think about it if your website's relatively young. If your website is not, having, 2 years old daily blog that has 1,500 links coming to it, maybe your website only has 20 links coming into it, or even 100 or something like that. Yeah, 100 is kind of annoying, but it's not impossible to get those links changed. So it's just think about how many links are linking back to your website, and if you lose those links, how heartbroken would you be? So that will determine if you should try to get back your domain name or if you should use a different one that you were planning to use anyway. So something to think about. Now, one of the people we were talking about this week too, he's a prospective client, and he was talking about how somebody had accidentally let this domain name expire, and that's why he was looking to move the website to a new domain. And he said, so somebody said there's this firm out there that can, you give them $2,500 and at some point they'll get your domain name back for you. And so Cassie, she's been pretty quiet in the meeting, and she says, just leave the money in the suitcase. Don't bring anyone with you. And it's true. It felt just like that. I was like, yeah, that is the exact right analogy about that kind of situation. Because what's going to happen, right, is they're either going to negotiate with the people, hey, will you take name expires, and they're going to rebuy it back again for, I don't know, $12.95 or something. It's just really sketchy. So, don't negotiate with terrorists in terms of getting back your domain. Sometimes it's worth, if somebody has your domain, seeing what they're willing to take for it. But you have to have in your mind, like any negotiation, a point at which you'll walk away. So I had one client, and it was actually before she was a client of mine. The person who had her website previously let the domain expire, and she had had all these marketing materials printed. She had had the domain name put on her sign. So we ended up, I talked to her about it. I ended up dealing with the people, and she ended up paying $500 to get her domain back. So if you're the person doing the negotiating and you're the person who knows what you're willing to pay and stuff, it's a little bit easier than going through this weird third-party thing where they're going to take $2,000 or whatever of your money. I kind of wanted to ask the guy what the company was, just because I wanted to go online and check it out. But so think about that. Just realize that even though your domain name has been purchased, sometimes you can offer to buy it back. It doesn't necessarily have to be for thousands of dollars. The person might settle for a few $100s or something like that, and then make sure it never runs out again. So I talked about backlinks. I talked about writing to people to change your domain. Yeah, okay, I talked about all that. So yeah, if you're going to change your domain, it's just something to think about, to see what is affected in terms of the links coming back into your site, to think about what materials you maybe have to remake if you're going to change your domain, because maybe you've got all these business cards and letterhead and things like that that would be annoying to change, or in terms of a very large sign, relatively expensive to change. One thing you can do if you decide that you want to change the domain is you don't necessarily have to change your signage and stuff all at once. You can do what's called a redirect. So for example, if you type in nicolewillette.com, you get to the Breaking Even site. It is redirected to that site. So you can own two domains, and you can have your website live one place and have the other one redirect. So for example, if you have a blog that's linking back to where your, I don't know, let's say there was a recipe you had on your blog, and you moved your blog and changed links, you could create a redirect to make sure that people who had that old link, from that recipe, make sure it goes to that recipe on the new site. It's kind of annoying when people just send all the redirects to the homepage of the site, because sometimes what you're looking for is not on the homepage. There's definitely tools out there that will help you create these redirects. First of all, there's cPanel, which a lot of web hosting companies have. So you can, if you own the domain, you can go in and say, when someone types in this, I want to go here. There's even programs that work with some web software. So for example, on our WordPress site, I have links that I see that people get to an error, And what happened is I changed my link structure about 3 or 4 years ago. I used to have the date included in the link for the blog posts, and then I realized that that was just taking up a lot of room, and also I wasn't, it was cool when I was blogging every day to have the date in to sort of show that I was blogging every day. But when we switched to a couple of 2-3 times a week, it seemed less important the exact date that it was posted. So I took it out of the URL. And what happens though is some people had the old links and we're still getting to old stuff. So what I do periodically is I go in there, see what error messages are coming up, and then I create a redirect to make sure that people who try to get to that link again won't get the same error message on our website. So yeah. So think about when you change your website URL, a lot more is affected than maybe you're thinking about. So check if it's worth it. And if it is worth it, make sure you take the steps to make sure that your website visitors get to the right stuff, and also so that your customers and people who are linking to you online are directing people to the correct location. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet today because there's no Cassie here to be fun with. But if you have a question for Tech Thursday, something you want us to address, we're really, as you see, pretty open about it. You can leave a comment on this video, or you can go to the contact form of our website and just leave it in there. We're happy to take questions however we get them. And if you ever want to be a guest on the show, if you live locally here in the Bar Harbor area and you want to come on and talk about something technology related, maybe you fix computers, maybe you have a really big interest in Instagram, something like that, and you want to come in and talk about it, I think it would be even fun to have some guests once in a while, especially days like today when Cassie couldn't be here, and where I'm rambling on and on about changing your URL on your website. So thanks for tuning in, and have a great week. And both Cassie and I will see you next week. Take care.